Horoscope 101. Happy Sunday. It's me, as always, on Sunday. Crazy Claire, unless I'm for some reason out of town or whatever. This week was pretty cool, but I had to really think about it for a second. I'm like, okay, so it was crazy, redneck, psycho, backwoods, fucking crazy, whatever, horror movies. Now, you'd think that I would pick, like, Wrong Turn or Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which I'm not going to make a comment about if I've seen that film or not. But anyway, James, I really had to think for a second, and I'm like, what's the movie that involves this kind of stuff that terrorized me and left me feeling just the absolute most? And it wasn't necessarily a horror movie. And I'm taking a risk kind of by doing this because it's not the typical horror movie traditionally. But as you can tell from the very beginning of the, little thing that I have at the beginning of the title, if that helps you to figure it out at all, I'm going to give you another little hint. Dueling Banjos, anyone? And that's Deliverance from 1972. I just roll my eyes and just shake my head at this movie. I know it's not a traditional horror movie. I know it's not. It's not like it's one of those Cabin in the Woods, or even, Hills Have Eyes, or anything like that. I realize that. But to me, if something is horrific, it's a horror movie. And Deliverance, to me, was horrific. And I think we all know what part I'm talking about. Yes, this review is going to have spoilers, but if you haven't seen Deliverance, you probably at least have heard of one of the major kind of terrifying scenes that kind of makes the movie a little more popular than maybe it even would be without it. Now, I'm going to go ahead and take a sip of my coffee because I got my Dexter bloody mug this morning. It actually changes colors. It actually just says Dexter in white and then is like that dark color of the handle. And then when you stick something really hot in it, it shows the blood splatter. So, have to enjoy my coffee. So let's just talk about Deliverance. I mean, squeal like a piggy. I don't like rape stuff. And they show so many females getting raped in films and stuff like that. And I'll never, ever, ever get used to it. But damn, watching a guy get raped like that, it is so terrifying to me because they are so powerless. Now, I'll go back to say who was in this film. Ned Beatty, Burt Reynolds, Jon Voight. They're going down, they want to take a canoe trip, and I'm supposing that it's supposed to be in Tennessee or something like that. Probably my neck of the woods, where I grew up with all the hillbillies. Now, I grew up in kind of like a city type area. I always tell people I didn't grow up on a farm. I'm not country. I'm southern. But I still joke now that I live out in California that I was a hillbilly because that's what East Tennessee kind of is, closer to Smoky Mountains and stuff like that. They're hillbillies. So I'll just say I'm a damn hillbilly. Yes, it gave that area a very bad rap, I'm sure. But I'd hate to think there are some crazy people. Now, I was in Pigeon Forge. I'll tell you a little story. I was in Gatlinburg/Pigeon Forge for a weekend, and we were driving that little drive between Gatlinburg and Pigeon Forge. It's kind of woodsy, and just kind of go through. And if you're from that area, you know what I'm talking about. This crazy fucker in this blue, beat up, rusted pickup truck was terrorizing all of us tourists in the area, going through that road, tailgating everyone, honking at them. And when he would go by you, he would grin this toothless psycho grin. And like me, I said, I'm not that country. I mean, I was freaking terrified. And he was doing it to every single person. So maybe there are people that are like this out there. I don't know. But Deliverance terrified me. I mean, everything is going good. And all of a sudden they come upon these hillbillies. And like I said, spoiler alert, Ned Beatty flat out gets ass raped in this movie and by this redneck, while Burt Reynolds Jon Voight. Yes, Jon Voight is pretty much just forced to be up against a tree, cannot move because he's going to be killed if he tries to stop it and has to watch this guy go through this. That, to me, that's terrorizing. So say that Deliverance is a horror movie or not, but I will put it in the at least kind of scary thriller category because I'm no, if it had happened at night and the bad guys had knives, it'd be considered a slasher. But that's not it. It happens in the daytime. It's very realistic, and I think that is what is so scary about it. So yeah, backwoods, terrorizing horror, I'd say that Deliverance counts. That's about all I have to say about that movie. I mean, they kind of like get their revenge, but what makes this movie realistic and what's so terrorizing to me is while they get their revenge, they have to pay for it. They have to cover it up. They have to like not let out what happened because the people in the area think of them as like Yankee interlopers. What are you doing in our area? Leave. Which is so not realistic as to what would really happen. But it's realistic in that you can't just go and get revenge at the end of the film and everyone's just so happy and everyone lives happily ever after. That movie is not like that. Things aren't happily ever after. You feel that, especially Ned Beatty's character is going to have like deep, deep scars and issues from this. I mean, and it's terrifying to me. And I had to pick Deliverance because of just simply how much it stuck with me for a really long time. Now, I had seen a version of it on TV and had never really seen the unrated edition. So I think I watched it on like HBO or something probably about 3 years ago and saw the full on what you're supposed to see when you watch that movie. And it just kind of hit me like right here when it was happening. And you're just like, oh my God. So, I mean, I hope I'm not the only one that it affects like this because it's terrorizing. It kind of jokes around with the whole like hillbillies and squeal like a piggy, and that kind of became the tagline. It got this movie got a myth of its own from that line alone. But that's kind of my quick just pick for backwoods crazy psycho terrorizing crazy asshole hillbilly picks for this week. Now I think for this week, if I'm wrong, forgive me, but I think we're going to talk about television. And I will have to think about what I'm going to do because I'm sure everyone throughout the week is going to do some really cool, like very more famous stuff. And I'll pick kind of what they don't do and talk about one of my favorites. Or if I have to pick something that they've already done, whatever, I'll talk about what I love. So everyone have a fantastic Sunday. And like I said at the beginning, paddle faster. I hear banjo music.